Former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has revealed significant details about the 2023 assassination of former Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut. In a recent interview, Gallant shared the specifics of the operation, its timing and its execution, along with his criticisms of Prime Minister Netanyahu's handling of Israeli detainee negotiations and military actions. This is special coverage on Qnews, where we tackle the latest developments. Former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has revealed new details about the assassination of former Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut last September. In an interview with Israeli Channel 12, Gallant said that he had instructed the Chief of Staff and the Air Force commander to increase the explosives used in the attack to over 80 tons. He also disclosed that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu initially requested a delay, but the strike was ultimately carried out on September 17th at 6:20 p.m. with 84 bombs, each weighing 1 ton. The operation successfully eliminated Nasrallah and his associates. Also, former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has accused Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of failing to take decisive action to secure the return of Israeli detainees from Gaza. In an interview, Gallant claimed that Israel could have secured their release earlier and at a lower cost. He further alleged that the agreement approved by Hamas in July last year was similar to the current deal and argued that the ongoing ceasefire agreement is even worse in several aspects. Gallant has further revealed that preparations for the Pages device operation in Lebanon had been underway for years before the war with Hezbollah erupted. Gallant claimed that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu refused to approve the operation in October when thousands of devices were in active use by Hezbollah members. By the time the operation was executed on September 17th last year, the walkie-talkie devices had been stored away, reducing its impact. The Israeli intelligence-led explosion of the Pages still resulted in dozens of Hezbollah casualties and thousands of injuries. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has revealed that he blocked former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant from executing the Pager operation in October 2023, citing insufficient impact. In an interview with Israeli Channel 14, Netanyahu explained that only 150 booby-trapped Pagers were in Hezbollah's possession at the time, making the operation less effective than in September. He also stated that he rejected launching a military attack on Hezbollah in October 2023, arguing that it would have been a grave mistake to open a two-front war so soon after the October 7th attack. Now, for more on this, we are joined from Cairo by the researcher in Israeli affairs and the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs member, Dr. Ahmed Fouad Anwar. Thank you for being here with us on Qnews. So what do you make of this interview with former Israeli Defense Minister Gallant on Israeli television?
After greatness for you and for all the viewers, it's clear that there's a clear disagreement from the military side and the political side in Israel. Actually, from different levels in the political vision inside Israel, trying to implement immoral visions, and actually that cannot be implemented. Things that refused even from the inside internal people of Israel. So I think Gallant, as his credits increase, and in the same approach we have seen a resignation and other opposition from the chief of staff and from the former chief of staff President Carter. This approach that adopted by Netanyahu, the government of destruction, it's very clear that's a failed approach. It didn't achieve the goals of the war or even the security for Israel.
And it does seem that Netanyahu and Gallant are fighting like rats in a sack almost. Why do you think Gallant attacked Netanyahu at this time and accused him of failing those hostages in Gaza?
Everyone is looking about the second phase of ceasefire agreement and exchange of hostages, as Netanyahu is trying to hinder the second phase, putting different obstacles. It's a major battle. But what Netanyahu did after 7th of October, I think it's very difficult to repeat the same scenario right now. After 7th of October, there is somehow an outrage, a lot of lies were overspreaded, but right now, repeating these crimes with the barbaric attitude will not be justified, and I don't think the public opinion, the global public opinion, will be silent. Especially right now is a war criminal, is disrespecting the whole international community, disrespecting the rules of ICC or ICJ. In this historic scene, where we have seen the whole displaced people returning back to their houses to the north, returning back to the rebels at the north. This actually is a clear evidence that these people want to live at their territories.
And one of the other things that was brought up was the pager operation in Lebanon. What is your take on the conflicting statements between Gallant and Netanyahu?
Of course, there are many obstacles Netanyahu have posed regarding ceasefire agreement, the fragile ceasefire agreement that what could be revealed by a different military expert in that regard, because Netanyahu and his current defense minister Israel doesn't have the needed military experience that enable them to achieve their goals. As they have failed to achieve these goals before. In addition to all of that, these goals are contradictory with the major goal for them, for the Israeli public opinion, which is releasing of the hostages. The releasing of the hostages is contradictory with any kind of obstacles that Netanyahu will try to impose in the second phase of ceasefire agreement, especially that the resistance, the Lebanese resistance and the Palestinian resistance, was committed towards a ceasefire agreement, and we have seen this web of exchange of hostages, while the Israeli side has always been putting these obstacles, as he has made some delay in releasing of the Palestinian prisoners, when he has been manipulating with the names of the Palestinian prisoners, as one of the prisoners were released with another or similar name, not with the ones they needed to be released. So I believe all of these obstacles will be filled, and at the end of the day, Netanyahu will be forced to respect the ceasefire agreement, as he did today by withdrawal of the Netzarim Corridor. He has some hopes in order to establish some of the installment, but all of this was failed.
Gallant also talked about the targeting of Hassan Nasrallah. And he said it was approved by him, and Netanyahu attempted to delay the operation. What do you make of that? And also, can you believe that these kind of disagreements were going on at such a crucial time?
It's very clear that Gallant know a lot, especially as according to his post as responsible for the Israeli army in this crucial period. So somehow he is trying to attack Netanyahu, reveal these facts to make Netanyahu impressed in the global community and the Israeli community by revealing these lies, by revealing these facts. Especially that the one who is revealing these facts is a far-right extremist with a military background, and also he was a member in the government. So anything will be revealed by him will have a great respect from the Israeli public opinion, as many of the Israeli public opinion are describing Netanyahu as the general or Miron who is repeating the previous crisis of Holocaust against the Israeli people. And he actually the one who is doing that actually by doing these attacks and genocide against the Palestinian people. The, the majority of the Israeli prisoners were killed. This was one of the pressure cards that Gallant is trying to use, especially after he revealed that reality that the resistance wanted to release the Israeli hostages.
And what do you think is the reasons why Netanyahu was attempting to interfere in the military's decisions at this time?
Netanyahu is a corrupted man and has his own personal interests, which is more important than the Israeli interest. He has his interest to stay in his post, keeping the government. This for him is important than maintaining the hostages or releasing the hostages or turning them alive. When he said that I will go into Rafah and I will destroy everything, all of these statements was actually posing great risk on the hostages and their lives. And was revealed actually in the recent days. Most of the hostages were alive. I like what Netanyahu has stated, and many of the Israeli hostages were killed by the Israeli fires. So these actually clashes and disagreement had a great impact on the Israeli families. Indicates that Netanyahu's government always only care about his personal interest. As is seeing the absence of Yair Netanyahu's oldest son, who has stayed for the U.S. as the U.S. during the war. Even he is one of the soldiers, and Sarah's. His Netanyahu's wife stayed at the U.S. without any justification for more than 70 days. I'm speaking about she stayed about 75 days in the U.S. during the wartime. In the consequences after Netanyahu made this surgical surgery. So there are many question marks raised about what is the plans of Netanyahu's family. Are they planning to have this long period in order to have like escape inside the U.S.? The Israeli people are raising a lot of question marks regarding Netanyahu and his family and his medical record and his ability to manage the coming period. What are the priorities Netanyahu considered also in this period?
And speaking of the United States, Gallant also confirmed in the interview that Netanyahu rejected the same ceasefire agreement in July, the one that he's now agreed to. The Biden administration has said the same thing. Why do you think that Netanyahu has only agreed to the deal now? Was he waiting for Trump to be in the White House?
Yes, he's somehow trying to give these hopes with goals that will not be implemented. The ability of the Israeli army was revealed. They were unable to deter any of the attacks coming from Yemen. The inability of the Israeli army was very clear. Their inability to release any of the hostages also, all of that has an impact. This plan that is implemented right now, that Netanyahu accepted it now, is yes, it's proposed 27 May. It's actually Egyptian plan, and at the end of the day, he approved this plan. So the question here, who will be responsible for this whole period? Who will be responsible for those who lost their lives from the Israeli prisoners, also from the Israeli army at that period? Because at the end of the day, Netanyahu approved this deal, the same one that was proposed in 27 May. So we're speaking about the first phase of 42 days that was entitled in the agreement. The same agreement was in past May. And also those who were released from leadership of the resistance to have like a long sentence to death inside the prison, like 300 years inside prison. these kind of sentences, all of them were cancelled. At the end of the day, Netanyahu approved this deal and allowing the return of the displaced people to their houses at the north. All of these strategic losses forcing Netanyahu to withdraw from all his previous dreams and goals. Especially that the US at the end of the day supporting Israel but not supporting Netanyahu. They are trying to support Israel with all they can, but at the end of the day, if they got that Netanyahu is somehow not coming in the favor of Israel, they could sacrifice him easily.
And Netanyahu, of course, accused Gallant in statements of trying to rush some decisions, but he was the one that prevented him from doing so. How do you view these statements? Is it just two men who are both facing war crimes allegations and could be in The Hague at some point, just trying to blame each other?
Of course, they are preparing themselves with the coming accountability after their failure to expect 7th of October and after their failure to deal with the 7th of October events and after their fail to release the hostage, whatever through military or whatever through diplomatic solutions. They are somehow giving this statement to mitigate any kind of accountability inside and outside. But these clashes and disagreement reveal a lot of factors, and I believe that when the time passes, this disagreement will grow. In order to be consistent, maybe it will be painful for both of them.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And if Netanyahu and Gallant do end up in The Hague at the same time, it will be indeed interesting. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. That was the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs member, Dr. Ahmed Fouad Anwar. Thank you very much for being here with us. Now we're going to get the latest developments in Gaza. Israeli occupation forces have continued their assault on the city of Jenin and its refugee camp for the 20th consecutive day, leaving behind 25 fatalities and dozens of injuries since the beginning of the assault. Jenin Governor Kamal Abu El-Rob confirmed that over 15,000 people, including 3,500 families, have been displaced, many now residing in Burkina. He added that Israeli forces continue to demolish homes, worsening the already dire economic situation due to the ongoing siege. Israeli drones are bombing the camp, and forces have besieged Jenin Government Hospital, causing water shortages for the 20th day. Attempts to deliver water by tractor have been blocked. Reinforcements, including bulldozers, have been sent to Jenin city and nearby areas. Israeli media reports that the Israeli army has begun a full withdrawal from the Netzarim Corridor as part of the ceasefire implementation in Gaza. The 162nd Division is now repositioning along the border, marking a significant step toward reducing Israel's presence in northern Gaza. Some Israeli forces were seen burning equipment as they departed. Drone footage has showed destroyed buildings near the Netzarim Corridor after the Israeli army's withdrawal. Palestinians and vehicles were seen moving through the rubble amid the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Following the latest stage of the release of Israeli detainees, The Israeli military was expected to withdraw from the Netzarim Corridor, dividing northern and southern Gaza in line with the ceasefire deal. Egypt has announced that it will host an urgent Arab summit in Cairo on February the 27th. In a statement by the Foreign Ministry, the summit is coordinated with Bahrain and the current Arab League chair and the League's General Secretariat. Egypt has also consulted extensively with Arab nations, including Palestine, which requested the summit. The meeting aims to address recent critical developments concerning the Palestinian cause, reflecting unified Arab efforts to confront escalating challenges in the region. Now, for further analysis, we're joined from Cairo by Al Ahram newspaper managing editor Ashraf Al Ashri. Welcome back to Q News. So, what would you say are the key objectives of the urgent Arab summit in Cairo?
Good evening for you and for all the viewers. Of course, this summit is the result of a different Egyptian consultation happened in the previous days during through the Egyptian president with the Kingdom of Jordan and other stakeholders in the region, and as he has been doing these calls with 11 of the foreign ministry of the Arab states until they agreed to have this exceptional summit on 27 of this month. And there's another preparation meeting that will happen before the summit. This agenda that will include only one agenda. This statement by President Trump and or has proposed about the forced displacement of the Palestinian people from Gaza Strip, and also discuss the Palestinian cause, including the development happening in Gaza Strip, and also what is the kind of Arab efforts to help the Palestinian cause in the coming period in order to start the reconstruction effort. In addition to all of that, to discuss the Egyptian proposal for having international summit or international conference for the reconstruction of Gaza Strip and having a specific fund for Gaza reconstruction, which this was an Egyptian proposal happened by the Egyptian Foreign Ministry, Badr Abdel-Ati, and also we will see this Arab approval to invite the United Nations and other related organizations in order to work for the reconstruction of Gaza in the coming period. This exceptional meeting for only one day include a lot of details, the details related to Gaza Strip and the possibility of having a united Arab stance to confront these Israeli and this American practices and American proposals that was completely refused by Egypt and with the whole international community in this critical moment related to the Palestinian people's lives, which needs the legitimacy, global legitimacy with all the support of Arab states.
And how significant is it that Palestine formally requested for this summit themselves? And what does it indicate about Arab coordination?
The American, the Palestinian decision came after this proposal, which considered as a crisis, displacement of these millions of Palestinian people. They are trying to get rid of the Palestinian cause. The displacement of Palestinian people, the forced displacement from Gaza Strip is a crime which will lead at the end of the day to the destroy of the Palestinian cause. Netanyahu and Trump were trying to destroy and get rid of the Palestinian cause after 70 decades, trying to get the rights after insisting to stay at the territories. And we have the historical references supporting our proposal. So calling for this urgent summit where Egypt will have a great pivotal role. We're asking all the Arab states to support this summit in order to have a united Arab states refusing any practices that will came against the Palestinian people, that will help them to maintain their presence on the territories, because this need an Arab stance that will play an important role in changing the current equation, support the Palestinian people, and give them all the needed support, all the political coverage for the Palestinian people for the delivery of aid, and also for discuss the reconstruction of Gaza Strip plan after the Palestinian people have been suffering from destruction that destroyed about 70% of their territories.
And how can this summit make sure that they translate political statements into concrete actions of support to Palestinians?
Right now, the Arab, leading by the Egyptian stance, realize that this great danger, this came by the desire of Netanyahu and Trump by displacement of Gaza Strip, occupying Gaza Strip in order to transform them as hotels, regions, establish many of the residential towers for investment and to control Gaza Strip, which is an occupation, an American occupation with Israeli coverage to occupy and control Gaza Strip, displacing more than 2 million Palestinian people, which is violating the international law. So the Arab Summit will play an important role to have some practical mechanism on the ground with an Arab stance, a very strong statement refusing any kind of practice to displace the Palestinian people, and the Arab states will be clear and firm to refuse any calls to displace the Palestinian people. In addition to that, the summit will form a committee that will travel to different European states and Russia to China in order to have a global stance to reduce any kind of the American pressures, especially after what Trump proposed regarding the forced displacement. So when you have the majority of states from the United Nations, from the major powers, this somehow will force Israel and the U.S. to withdraw from these ideas and to help the Palestinian people for the reconstruction of Gaza Strip.
Well, thank you very much. That was Ashraf Al-Ashri, the managing editor of Al-Ahram newspaper, joining us from Cairo. Thanks for being here on Q News. And that brings us to the end of our special coverage on the Middle East. And don't forget to follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok at QNewsEGY to stay informed. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more on Q News.